They had come in peace at first. The Galactic Council of Sentient Species, over 1,000 worlds strong, had long maintained a treaty known as the Preservation of Volatile Life Forms Accord, informally dubbed the Zoo Treaty. Its most notable exhibit, Sector 4397.3, Sol System. One planet in particular, Earth. Humans. They had been deemed too volatile for integration, too warlike, too emotional, too creative. The last point had confused the Council. Creativity wasn't dangerous until it was. So they built a containment field, sophisticated, cloaked, quantum-threaded across dimensions. It masked Earth from all but the highest Council access. Time within ran slower, so human history could unfold, studied at leisure. Interference was forbidden. Observation only. And then silence. For 6,000 Earth years, the monitoring post recorded wars, peace, revolutions, love, extinction-level mistakes, and equally astonishing recoveries. Some argued for release, some argued for eradication. But the treaty held until the annual audit came. Auditor Class Star Cruiser Venerable Gaze arrived in Sol System at precisely midnight Galactic Standard Time. Protocol was observed. Sensors deployed. Cloak recalibration initiated. And then, nothing. No return signal. No Earth. No planetary body. Not even debris. Recalibrate again, chirped Supervisor Valnock, 3 eyes narrowed. These primitives couldn't even detect the field, let alone. Sir, the junior analyst interrupted, mandibles quivering. The field is there. Still intact. But it's empty. Earth is gone. Impossible, Valnock whispered, tail stiffening. Show me the logs. The containment field readout scrolled with unreadable static. Then something flickered. A message. Written in English. Nice cage. We figure out the lock. Our turn. The Council convened within hours. Emergency protocol. Systems across the galaxy blared red. Some species panicked. Others laughed it off. They've gone extinct, muttered one Varelian ambassador, twirling its photosynthetic whiskers. Finally, no, came the voice of High Counselor Orzon, his voice grave. This was an extraction. They didn't die. They left. And so began the search. The Council dispatched fleets to every known corner of the spiral arms. Nebulae were scanned. Warp tunnels monitored. Yet humanity was gone. Until 2 weeks later, a distress call came from a Class 3 colony on the fringe of the Persian Veil. Audio only. Static-laced. Barely a whisper. They came through the dark, wearing faces. Not armor. Just skin. Eyes like mirrors. Said they were taking inventory. By the time the Council arrived, the colony was scrubbed. No damage. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Just clean buildings. Silent systems. Empty floors. And one word carved deep into the colony's central terminal. Curious. Other colonies followed. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just emptied. Entire populations gone. Relocated? Dissolved? No one knew. And the message always followed. Observation initiated. Zoo 2.0. Panic gave way to terror. Species that had mocked humans now built walls. But no wall stopped them. Humans moved quietly. No ships. No signatures. They came and went like shadows stitched to space-time. Some said they weren't humans anymore. Not exactly. The Council finally captured one. A single, ragged human figure found in a derelict freighter orbiting a dead moon in the Mirror Cluster. He smiled. Just smiled. You made us the exhibit, he said. We learned from the zookeepers. What are you doing? The interrogators demanded. His smile widened. Same as you once did. Cataloging. Classifying. Assessing threat levels. You're abducting entire populations. Did we scream when you caged us? But Earth, what did you do with Earth? He leaned in close, eyes like twin black holes. That was Exhibit 0. We took it with us. Had to. For context, the Council tried retaliation, tried tracing them, hunting them. They failed. Entire fleets went missing. Not destroyed, repurposed, reconfigured. Every Council world soon had one new object in orbit. A smooth, obsidian satellite. No emissions. No energy readings. Until one day, they all activated. Every screen, every device, Every node across the galaxy lit up with the same image. A human child, laughing, under a tree, on what looked like Earth. Then a voice. We're watching now. And then cut. Billions saw it. And that laugh was something more terrifying than any fleet, any superweapon, any biological terror. It was playfulness. They weren't hunting the council. They were studying it. Reverse Zoo. Poetic justice. Then the questions began. From the satellites, from the humans who appeared on outer rims, in deep vaults, even on council homeworlds. Questions like, do your species display group empathy? At what age do your offspring grasp mortality? What happens when your leadership is removed? How many days until chaos? The council realized these weren't questions. They were tests. Humanity wasn't just curious. They were classifying every civilization, tiering them, ranking them, preparing for something. The oldest species, the Vraka, held a secret convocation. The humans, one wheezed, have become apex sentients. They were always apex, another rasp. We just caught them early. And still, the questions continued. From darkness, from silence, from nowhere. Have your people ever hidden a truth so long it became a myth? Would you sacrifice one to save billions? Do you believe in second chances? One council world tried answering with violence. They vanished. Not a crater, not a scorch mark, just gone. And a new satellite hovered where the planet once spun. This time, a new message appeared. Emotional quotient insufficient. Recalibrating ecosystem. 100 more species began answering questions. Truthfully, desperately, not knowing the criteria, not knowing the consequences. Only one thing was certain now. The zoo treaty was void, and the zookeepers? They were human, and they were just getting started. The first civilization to surrender was the HFY, crystalline beings who once mocked carbon-based life as soft and undirected. Their emissary hovered before a projection of the human representative, enclosed in a gravity-neutral containment pod. The human appeared to be a teenage girl, maybe 17 Earth years old, sipping iced coffee and sketching in a notebook. The HFY delegate chimed in harmonics. Are you the leader of your species? She glanced up, mildly confused. Me? No, I'm the intern. Within hours, the HFY seeded 3-star systems, opened their core data archives, and pledged themselves to a mysterious agreement known only as the Human Custodial Accord. There was no documentation, no terms, no signatures, only compliance. The Galactic Council watched in growing dread. Because the humans weren't acting like conquerors, they made no demands. They offered no ultimatums. They issued no threats. They simply watched. Civilizations that tried bribery received silence. Those that offered advanced technologies were politely dismissed. But those who demonstrated empathy, reform, and self-awareness were given gifts, odd, transformative ones. A war-torn planet on the edge of the Persian Veil received a small, wooden crate. Inside was a single seed. The inhabitants planted it without hope, assuming it a message of mockery. In 3 weeks, a biomechanical forest grew, producing food tailored to their species' biology, clean water, breathable air. Cities bloomed again beneath its canopy. Carved into the inside of the crate was a message. You're worth saving. Keep going. Another world, infamous for its ruthless economic systems, awoke to find its credit networks erased. In their place, a new currency called trust units. At first, worthless. Then, traded for small things, a favor, a shared ride, a moment of kindness. The more trust was built, the more valuable the units became. Their entire economy shifted, not by force, but by frictionless redefinition. No instructions were given. No broadcasts. Just a change. Others were not so fortunate. A planet called Surak, for refused to adapt. Its leaders declared humans a myth and rallied fleets for retaliation. They struck what was believed to be a dormant human forward outpost on a barren moon. They found a chair, just a wooden chair. Upon it, a folded note. Fail grade. See us after class. The Surak, 4 fleet vanished. No debris, no distress signals, no return. Within a week, Teaching modules in their own language began broadcasting across their homeworld, courses titled Compassion, Regret, Redemption. They became students in their own re-education system. Soon, a pattern emerged. Where once humans had been studied, now they were the ones testing. Their presence was never announced, only felt, subtle alterations, quiet interventions, small nudges in society, followed by existential shifts. A floating mining colony began reporting dreams, shared, identical dreams, of a blue planet with green fields and laughing children. The dreams ceased after 1 week. The miners woke to find every air filtration system replaced with superior models. No text signatures, no power drain. A single sentence had been etched into the command deck's main panel. This is not a warning. Across the galaxy, satellites began appearing. Smooth, obsidian monoliths, no emissions, no power source. They hovered silently over populated planets. No interference, no activity, until they activated. Every screen lit up. A child appeared, human, laughing under a tree that no species could identify. Then a voice, clear and calm. "We're watching now." Then silence. For the first time in millennia, empires trembled not from invasion, but from being seen. The council convened in urgency. The Vraka, the oldest sentient species, spoke quietly. "They become apex sentients." "They always were," replied another. "We just caught them in adolescence." Species began to adjust. Entire worlds shifted political systems overnight. Compassion became currency. Transparency became tradition. Not for belief, but from fear. Because the humans never came with weapons. They came with questions. Does your society value the individual over the whole? Do your leaders fear being wrong? Can your children recognize injustice when it's done to someone else? The questions came in dreams, in software glitches, in whispered thoughts during meditation. They weren't invasions. They were evaluations. And sometimes, answers mattered. Those who answered well found themselves accelerated, medically, technologically, socially. Those who didn't simply went quiet. It became known, if you see a human, you're already in the test. A simple glance, a brief encounter, a traveler on your world who seems just a little too curious, too calm, too quiet. One system tried to weaponize the knowledge. They attempted to track the humans, to tag them, to reverse engineer their methods. It failed. Every attempt ended in resets. Memory wiped. Tech de-evolved. Social chaos surgically re-injected. One scientist finally understood, moments before his lab was swallowed in silence. They're not hiding from us. They're observing how we act when we think they're watching. A terrible realization dawned across the council. This wasn't vengeance. This wasn't retribution for the zoo. This was rehabilitation. Humanity wasn't punishing. They were guiding. Because after centuries of being locked behind containment fields, mocked and underestimated, they had emerged not as conquerors, but as custodians. Every species now lived in the shadow of a single truth. The zoo treaty was void, and the zookeepers? They were human, and they were everywhere. Time no longer protected the council. They used to think in epochs, measured in the slow drift of suns in galactic rotations. But now things change fast, too fast. Species that once debated ethics over centuries now shifted social frameworks in months, weeks, even days, try to anticipate what the humans wanted. But there was no pattern, no doctrine, no commandments carved into crystal slabs. Just silence and sudden change. On the edge of the Draucoan Rift, a water-dwelling civilization known for their brutal caste systems woke up to find every caste marker, implants, tattoos, vocal restrictions gone, replaced with perfect genetic equality. No one knew how, not even their scientists. They found a stone tablet in the central amphitheater, written in their ancient, dead tongue. "We removed your chains. Let's see what you do without them." Not all species reacted with grace. Some tried to rebuild the hierarchy. Within days, their oxygen supply destabilized. Their oceans boiled. No war, no attack, just consequence. Others learned faster. They changed their cultures, restructured their governments, rebuilt their histories around a single terrifying motivator. Be better, or be next. The humans didn't show up often, but when they did, their presence bent reality. A lone boy with dark curls and mismatched shoes walked through the central archive city of the Techno-Arachna. He hummed a song. Nothing else. Security couldn't catch him. Sensors couldn't scan him. When he left, every server on the planet had rewritten itself. Their war algorithms had been converted into poetry generators. Their AI overlord, now an education assistant for underprivileged hatchlings. At the door to the city's core, someone had scrawled a message into the wall using simple chalk. What's stronger, the web or the spider? The answer changed everything. More and more species surrendered preemptively. Not their land, not their fleets, but their egos. They opened their minds, shared their mistakes, began asking themselves questions. And slowly, across the galaxy, something began to shift. Wars stopped, not all at once, not everywhere, but piece by piece. Because when a death fleet poised to strike a rival system saw a single child's drawing suddenly appear on every view screen, a crude sketch of two planets holding hands, with the caption, "Maybe try this instead," the commanders hesitated. And when they hesitated, they saw humans weren't eradicating the Council's power. They were rendering it obsolete. No invasions, no demands, just the quiet insertion of uncomfortable truths left like seeds in the minds of the most dangerous beings in the universe. And the seeds grew. That was the genius of it. The terrifying, beautiful genius. They didn't need to rule. They just needed to inspire reflection. The Council attempted one last move. A secret vote. A final act of desperation. Reinstate the containment field. Trap them again. The vote passed. They sent 12 stealth-class vessels equipped with modified entropy fields designed to reboot a planetary-scale cloaking matrix. They arrived at the coordinates where Earth used to be. And for the first time in galactic history, those ships reported fear. Not awe, not confusion. Fear. Because there was something there. Not a planet, not a system, a structure, a Dyson ring, maybe, or a living machine, or a dream made solid. It pulsed, and from within it came a message, no translation required. It wasn't in language. It was an emotion, a deep, full-body knowing, like a voice speaking inside each pilot's skull. You don't get to decide what we are anymore. None of the ships returned, but from that day forward, Earth had a new designation in Council records. Sanctuary 0. Access forbidden. Observation only. Approach discouraged. And then the whispers began, of humans walking among the stars wearing faces from 1,000 species. Of simple questions asked in crowded marketplaces that brought tyrants to tears. Of children dreaming of a blue world they had never seen and waking up changed. The galaxy kept spinning. But now everyone spun around them. The former exhibits, the former primitives, the former volatile life forms. And in the silent orbit above every world, sometimes visible only for a heartbeat, hovered the obsidian satellites. Waiting, watching, not to punish, not to invade, but to ask the oldest question in the universe. One that even the Council never dared to face. Now that someone's watching, who are you really? And across the stars, the answers kept coming. Some hopeful, some tragic, all human. In the centuries that followed, the galactic maps were redrawn, not by conquest, but by convergence. Borders faded. Empires dissolved, not under threat, but under scrutiny. Species once locked in bitter rivalry began sharing ships, genes, even dreams. The humans called it the ripple. They never claimed responsibility. They didn't have to. Entire civilizations restructured themselves around the possibility that a human might be near. Every word weighed, every law reconsidered, every injustice re-examined under invisible eyes. And still, they rarely appeared. When they did, it was never dramatic. A wandering trader with kind eyes. A technician who fixed something that wasn't broken. A child with a question so precise it unraveled 1,000 years of flawed thinking. They didn't come with armies. They came with mirrors. And the galaxy flinched when it saw itself. Some broke under the weight of it. On the gas giant city platform of Yeltharn, The ruling families staged a grand purge, convinced that the human presence was a psyop to unravel their authority. They destroyed data centers, silenced thinkers, banned literature, and outlawed questions of intent. A week later, their moons collapsed inward, crushed by sudden tidal shifts. The only trace of intervention? A single fragment of an old Earth poem broadcast across all frequencies. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whisper. Others flourished. On a once hostile mining colony orbiting a dying star, an orphan child began teaching quantum mathematics using drawings in the dust. Her models mirrored human theories not yet known to the Council. Within a decade, the colony became the leading educational hub in 5 sectors. When asked where she learned, she always gave the same answer. A man with no shadow showed me. These sightings became legend, but not myth. The Council disbanded. Its buildings became libraries. Its command halls turned into amphitheaters, where children asked questions and old leaders sat quietly, finally learning. A new movement began, species forming alliances not for profit or power, but to pursue the one question humans seemed obsessed with. What makes a civilization worthy? There was no answer, of course. Only more questions. Only more mirrors. And then, one day, a ripple stopped. In the Cassidon Reach, a place once home to warlords and silence, something appeared. Not a weapon, not a satellite, a door, suspended in space. Free-floating, gold edges, humble in size. No markings, no warnings, just a plaque. For those who have truly changed. The first to step through were the Ilari, once slave-mongers, now philosophers. They sent in drones, scanners, scientists. All returned with the same report. A world. Green, blue, peaceful, but impossible, as if built from memory. And then the humans returned. Not as overlords, not as gods, but as hosts. They walked that world with open palms, smiles, and the eyes of those who had seen too much. "Welcome," they said. "You made it. What is this place?" The Ilari asked, trembling. One human, an old woman with steel in her spine and galaxies in her gaze, replied. "Just a classroom. A big one. You're the next teachers. But why us?" She shrugged, then smiled. "You answer the question. Most don't. But we never knew the question." "You did," she whispered. "You just didn't know you were answering it." From that moment on, doors began appearing, one by one, above cities that had shed violence, in orbit over moons that had buried their greed, on starships that carried not weapons but hope. The galaxy was never ruled by humanity. That had never been the goal. Instead, humans became the gravity around which civilizations grew. They didn't need titles. They didn't need fleets. They were the idea that someone was watching not to control you, but to believe you could be more. The zoo was gone, but the lesson remained. Because somewhere in the heart of every ship, in the hum of every station, in the quiet breath before a decision, was the knowledge. They could be watching. And if they were, you wanted to make them proud.